Welcome back, students. So from previous class, we have understood why we got from one molecule of glucose, two molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So let's now see what is the fate of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So briefly, I will tell you what are all going to be the steps over here. First, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will undergo oxidation and phosphorylation, and this will be catalyzed by the enzyme dehydrogenase. You have to remember the name of the enzyme dehydrogenase, the full name of which will be the name starting with the its substrate, that is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Hence, the name of its enzyme will be glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase, which is present over here. Since it is an oxidative process, there is involvement of NAD, which will get reduced to NADH. Since it is also a phosphorylation step, two molecules of inorganic phosphate will be incorporated. Now, once it is coupled reaction, finally we get an aldehyde getting oxidized to an acid, and the product will be biphosphoglyceric acid, which we also write as glycerate. Since there is phosphorylation also involved, which will happen at the first position, so you get a 2-phosphate group, hence it is biphosphoglycerate. Now this is a high energy compound, and it is so capable that it can donate its phosphate group to ADP to generate ATP. This is a historical step. Now, why do I say historical step? Is that this is a first step wherein there will be substrate level phosphorylation. What do I mean by this one? Generally, ATP is produced from oxidative phosphorylation that happens in the electron transport chain of mitochondria. Recall, glycolysis is taking place in cytosol. So without any electrons being passed through the ETC in the mitochondria, at the level of the substrate itself, you are generating a ATP molecule. Hence, it's very, very important. Okay. This is catalyzed by the enzyme phosphoglycerate kinase. So you have lost this first phosphate. Now you are left with 3-phosphoglycerate. We don't call it bi now because there is only one phosphate. So very simple it is. So you have now 3-phosphoglycerate. There will be mutation. The difference between mutation and isomerization will be that when you change the structural formula and the chemical formula remains the same, you call it as isomerization. Like glucose isomerizing to fructose, fructose isomerizing to glucose, glyceraldehyde isomerizing to dihydroxyacetone, or dihydroxyacetone isomerizing to glyceraldehyde. That is isomerization. Mutation or mutase is a reaction where there is change in position in the same molecule. There will be change in the position of the groups attached to it. So in next change with next reaction, 3-phosphoglycerate mutates to 2-phosphoglycerate. So the phosphate group moves from third position to 2 position. Trust me, as easy as it looks, it does not happen so easily. There is a transient intermediate step involved before it can convert itself into 2-phosphoglycerate. Since it happens on the phosphoglycerate and it is a mutate reaction, the enzyme is phosphoglycerate mutase. Further, there will be dehydration reaction involving removal of two molecules of water, generating a enol group by the enzyme enolase, which is very, very important from biochemical significance point of view, which we will address subsequently. And finally forming another high energy phosphate group, which is phosphoenol pyruvate. Now this is capable of donating high energy phosphate group to ADP molecule and generating the ATP molecule. This forms our second substrate level phosphorylation. Again, it bypasses the electron transport chain and at the level of cytosol only generates ATP. Okay, so you now calculate and tell me totally how many ATPs we invested in the first stage How many ATPs alone by glycolysis, remember I'm stressing, alone by glycolysis, have we generated in the second stage? Thank you.